Hello and welcome to the Metal Pack Pod, the industry's leading podcast for the global metal packaging industry. The Metal Pack Pod is brought to you by the Metal Packager, the number one digital resource for the global metal packaging market. With over 7,000 monthly users in over 140 countries globally, be sure to check us out on metalpackager.com. I'm your host Alex Fordham, and joining the podcast today is the Global Beverage Segment Manager for PPG Packaging Coatings, Dr. Robyn McMillan. Robyn brings a unique perspective to the packaging coatings business, joining PPG in 1988 and working as a polymer research chemist for the first half of her career. She brings that scientific expertise to her current role, where she is responsible for growth, strategic planning and brand owner outreach for the global beverage coating segment. During the episode, we discuss the rapid evolution and innovation surrounding two-piece beverage cans and dive into Robyn's thoughts on trends surrounding the metal packaging landscape. I hope you enjoy the episode, everybody. So how's your sort of working schedule been planned as a result of sort of in the post-COVID world? We mentioned about the fact, obviously, we're doing this face-to-face today on Zoom. I mean, are you still getting out there to meet people face-to-face, lots of travel, or is there it's a bit of a cliche, but the hybrid model that seems to have existed now? Just curious to see what your working week tends to be like now.
Yes, I would say there is some hybrid model that continues. So, for instance, even in the office, I do several days a week in the office, and we generally do, but there is some work from home still. And with respect to customer meetings, when it makes sense to do those, online, we do. But certainly always looking for the opportunity to do face-to-face. And I would say, like I said, end of the summer, I think the face-to-face meetings opened up a bit more than they had in the last 2 years. So certainly doing a lot more travel in the United States right now. I have a global role, so I've not yet done as much global travel as before, but I imagine that's going to be coming as well. So
absolutely, that's something to look forward to anyway. You mentioned about your sort of experience within the industry and reading your sort of biography. It sounds like you've got an awful lot of experience within the coating sector, and so yeah, if you could just run us through that'd be fantastic.
Yes, I do actually. So I've been with PPG for 34 years and my entire career really. And I'm fortunate in that. And I've worked in all different types of coatings businesses, not just packaging. I've been in packaging for the last 10 years. But prior to that, I did global segment management in protective and marine coatings, and I did some military coatings, technical marketing. And the whole first half of my career, say the first 15 years, I spent in R&D, literally developing and launching water-based coatings for automotive, electrodeposition, and various PPG business units. So I've spent 34 years entirely in the coatings business. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So we've got the honor of a true expert, so to speak. So no, that's really that's really great. And I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, what are the unique facets of this industry? Really, I'll be interested to see how the like the beverage can sector compares to other parts of other industries that you've been in. And PPG, I know, are in a multitude of different industries. So I'm just curious to see what the unique challenges really with your role is on the beverage can coating side.
Yeah, well, beverage can coatings, I mean, they're really amazing from a technology perspective, I would say. They're extremely thin coatings, and yet they need to be very flexible because of the can forming process, or especially on the easy open end forming process. And they also need to be very high performance, right? So abrasion resistance wise, flexibility wise, corrosion resistance wise. And on top of that, and that's not unusual for a lot of PPG businesses like automotive, you also need corrosion, and even for outdoor coatings, like an architectural coating needs corrosion and environment resistance. But in the world of packaging, we also have the extra constraint of the food contact dimension, which is highly regulated because of consumer safety, which it should be. And there's a lot going on in that area today and into the future. So, on top of all these very thin coatings, they've got to be high performance, but they also have to be regulatory compliant across the globe, really. That's the other complicating factor, is it's not just US, they've got to conform to global regulatory standards. For instance, in China, in South America, in Europe, all of those areas are a little bit different with respect to the regulations and what kind of materials that you can use in coatings. So there's a lot of complexity there. So from a technical standpoint, I would say packaging coatings has a very high bar.
And I suppose the last recent podcast that we've conducted have mentioned about the explosive growth within particularly the beverage can sector. I mean, it's been a perfect storm, really, with obviously COVID, the ongoing sustainability message, the craft beer sector. There's lots of different facets that have created a real explosion of growth within the sector. So I suppose that has brought with it its own challenges as well. I mean, it's one of those things where we have to be excited by this amount of growth, but I can imagine it's meant that you've been particularly busy during this period.
Yes, that's certainly true. It has been very, very busy ever since COVID, and but the growth I really feel positive about. It makes it a very exciting area to work in, and certainly we've seen a lot of innovation in the can making industry over the last 5 years. More than 5 years ago, there was really one single can format, a 12-ounce standard type can. And now there's so many choices: bottle cans, sleek cans, mini cans, even large 24-ounce cans. So it's really grown in diversity, in giving the consumer a lot of choices. And we also see that in the coatings that go on the beverage can, that there's many more choices: a gloss, a matte, a satin, tactile finish that helps to differentiate that can on the shelf. So it's really bringing a lot of choices to the brand to really bring their personality to life on the beverage can for the consumer.
No, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm curious to know you at IMDPA, and my takeaway from the event was the increasing advent of personalization within the marketplace. And I think from a marketeer's point of view, that's a dream, isn't it, to be able to adapt quickly. So no, just be curious to know your take on the recent trends that we're seeing, and also at some of these events globally about what the word is on the street, so to speak.
Yeah, so certainly we're seeing that there's a lot more adoption of those specialty finishes like iSense Satin, iSense Matte, and iSense Touch. And we're seeing that occur especially in the energy drink sector, which, has been originated by the likes of big brands like Monster Energy and Red Bull. But now we're starting to see a lot of new entrants into that space, the energy and supplement space, with A-Shock Energy, C4 Energy, Mountain Dew, Alani Nu even. And a lot of these brands are adopting these specialty effects and some very elaborate labels on the beverage can in order to really bring their brand to life for the consumer. And I really think the beverage can has a unique opportunity to showcase the brand through the finishes on the can. It's really gives a lot of options to the brand that, say, a glass bottle or a plastic bottle really doesn't do justice to. So we're seeing a lot of growth in those type finish uses, specialty inks and varnishes.
Of course. I mean, is there a particular favorite that you have at the moment that you've been perhaps that you guys have been that you've helped work on? I mean, you mentioned the sort of iSense, etc. Is there any products direct to consumer that has particularly impressed you that's out there at the moment?
Well, it's really those two, the tactile varnish and the satin varnish. Especially with the satin, it really combines the best runnability from the can maker perspective, as well as giving a really unique and beautiful finish from both a visual as well as a sensation. When you touch the can, it feels very soft and smooth, and it's just really an appealing look these days.
And also, I'm just curious. I know we've mentioned, particularly on when we had a podcast with you guys earlier in the year, and also other content that we've had recently, and we've mentioned at length about the issues of safety, recyclability, shelf appeal. Just curious to see what comes next, because I mean, industries are often at their weakest when they're at their strongest. If that's, I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but when the benefits of the industry and things are going well, that often we can forget about innovation and other aspects within the industry. So I'm just curious what comes next for PPG and what you're working on, and if there's anything that you can share with us. Any exclusives would be gratefully received.
Yeah, so PPG is continuously innovating on the coatings that are inside, outside, and on the ends of the can. And one of the biggest areas is certainly keeping our can makers and brands compliant with all these regulations across the United States, as well as other countries, China, Europe, South America as well. And so there's a lot of experience on our team to really manage that process, and a lot of our technical resources going into that. But I would say, we just over the last year or so launched our Innovel Pro, which is a next generation non-BPA inside spray. It really builds on our 8 years of experience as the largest supplier of non-BPA inside spray globally. And it's really been improved to improve application at the can makers' processes and to really provide the most robust, high quality coating finish on the inside of the can. And you're going to see we have a full line of beverage can external coatings that are to keep pace with really the US state legislation that's coming up on PFAS, which is perfluoroalkyl substances. So you'll be seeing that in 2023.
There is an announcement imminently with that regards to that, isn't there, as well? So is there anything else you can share with us there? I'm not asking you to play clairvoyant, but is there any expectations from the industry about what comes next there?
Yeah, I just think that we will see these regulations constantly changing, and the whole industry is going to need to be in that mode for a while, I believe. So, the first transition was really non-BPA, and, there's some pending legislation in Europe as well related to non-BPA that will probably push that further with the Ep6 legislation. But really, all suppliers and can makers, we need to be prepared to stay abreast of all of these changes. So we're looking at that very closely. We have a very strong regulatory team that has more than 100 years of combined experience across the globe, and they're keeping a constant eye on what's happening with the regulations and really feeding that back to our technical researchers who are incorporating that into our development projects.
Packaging coatings from PPG draw on our company's 140-year history of innovation. We never stop improving our solutions to meet the evolving needs of can makers and the marketplace. That spirit of innovation results in technology like the cradle-to-cradle platinum-rated PPG Innovel Pro. PPG Innovel Pro is the latest enhancement to the world's #1 non-BPA beverage can coating. It still doesn't use any bisphenol ingredients, but experienced can makers report that it now sprays like an epoxy. Follow PPG Packaging Coatings on LinkedIn or visit packagingcoatings.com to learn more about why PPG is the coatings partner for can making excellence.
It's a question I ask regularly to experts within the industry. I know it's traditionally can makers are very conservative, don't like change. So these regulatory requirements, is that particularly challenging working with can makers that tend to like to keep things simple? So any big changes, I could imagine it must keep you up at night thinking about how to implement those changes seamlessly, really, to ensure that can makers and then also brand owners can basically keep abreast of the situation with confidence.
Yeah, well, it is a challenge, but we are working closely with every can maker on that transition. And PPG is fortunate in that we have a very experienced team of technical service experts that help assist our customers in the trialing and optimization of the use of those coatings on their lines. So that's our TSSR team. And their experienced team, many of them ex-can makers. So we bring that additional service to our customers to work alongside them anytime that there's a new coating or new technology being implemented. And like I said, that team of regulatory and technical experts also support the brand from the approval standpoint, because all of the brands want to make sure that the coatings are compliant. We can support all of them in whatever documentation they need on that and getting those approvals done efficiently and smoothly when you go through a transition like this.
No, that totally makes sense, and no, sounds good. I mean, aside from regulatory issues, is there any other challenges that the industry needs to overcome, do you think, or is the main issue those that we've discussed already? So yeah, just curious to see if there's any other issues that aside from any black swan events that are beyond our control. It'll be interesting to see how the industry, how you see things playing out in the next few years.
Yeah, there are many more. I mean, you've probably heard of digital printing, and what is that technology going to bring to the beverage can industry? I certainly believe that'll play a larger role in the future. So we're working on things like that. The other thing is, everybody's focused on sustainability, right? Throughout the entire value chain, from the brands to the can maker operations to us as coating or materials suppliers. So sustainability is only going to play a bigger role in our development. So we already spend a lot of resource and time in achieving material health certificates from third-party sustainability providers for the materials that we're supplying to the industry. Our customers are looking at ways to save energy, to save water use, to save greenhouse gases. So we're very busy doing life cycle analysis on different products, and also partnering with our can maker customers to figure out where to focus with respect to minimizing greenhouse gas and life cycle and achieving full circularity. So all of those things, how you cure a coating, what technology is going to go on it for the future, are certainly in play. And we'll probably see many changes with respect to technology in the future there.
Well, there's certainly a lot to unpack there. So there's plenty of challenges and potential within the industry. I mean, I just wanted to touch upon a couple of things you mentioned there. I mean, you said about digital printing, which does seem to be an interesting development within the metal packaging industry. On the podcast recently, we've had a bit of a split debate on this, really, as we've had some schools of thought that seem to think that digital printing will only really be the advent of the small to medium sized craft brewers, and the global can makers and the large volume orders won't really take the digital printing trend on board. So I'm just curious to see what you think. Do you have a view either way, and are you really excited by the advent of digital print, or is it somewhere in the middle? So yeah, just be interested to hear what you think on that first of all.
Yeah, it's hard to say where it's going to land, but certainly today, it already has a place in the smaller, say, less demanding line speed segment, aftermarket can decoration and direct to shaped can decoration area that are difficult to do with a typical or traditional gravure type process. But I think it all depends on where the folks with the digital equipment land from a cans per minute or efficiency type standpoint, how far they'll be able to penetrate into that more traditional high speed beverage can, higher volume market. So it really depends on, how quickly that technology evolves, and how long it'll take. I don't doubt that will get better and better with time as the digital technology evolves.
No, absolutely. That is interesting, and I mean, I suppose it really is a case of watch this space, and also on sustainability. You mentioned a couple of areas there, and just it'd be interesting if you could just expand on those in a little bit more detail, and how you think. I mean, how are PPG ensuring that you guys are as sustainable as possible in everything you do? Is there anything else that you can perhaps share with us?
Yeah, I mean, we've published goals as a corporation to, deliver sustainably advantaged products, say 40% of our portfolio. That's the goal that's coming up for us. So we're doing detailed analysis with science-based targets on assessing the sustainability attributes of our products, and certainly we'll be working in the future to make that goal higher and higher. Like I said, we also are investing in third-party material health certificates for the products that we sell. So not just from a consumer safety standpoint, but also from an environmental and EHS assessment standpoint. And in the future, we're going to be doing more and more with like life cycle analysis, circularity, and really aligning with our customers on how to help them achieve their goals as well as ours with respect to that. So I think we'll see more collaboration and alignment within the supply chain on those types of things in the future.
Okay, and just before moving on, I think the only one issue that we haven't discussed, I suppose, at the moment, and it's a burning topic in all industries really, is cost. And I assume you guys are no different. Are you having to increase costs somewhat to your customers? I suppose it gets passed along the chain at some point, doesn't it? Really, and is that something that you guys are continually mindful of as well?
Absolutely. So that's definitely been a huge challenge, over the last 2 years. Unprecedented inflation across the globe. And on top of that, in Europe, you have all the additional energy concerns, that are coming out of the conflict with Russia and the Ukraine. So that is definitely top of mind for us. We're doing everything we can to try and control costs from our perspective, as well as secure the supply chain. Because the other thing that's happened, really since COVID is unprecedented delays and transportation and supply chain disruptions. So that definitely is a focus of ours to help, make that as robust as possible for ourselves, for our customers, and ultimately for the brands. So I believe this is going to make us stronger. Having gone through these last 2 years is going to make us stronger for the future as an industry.
You certainly can't say that the last couple of years have been boring. That's for sure. There's been, and I'm sure it'll be one of those things when we talk about these issues, and then we'll be onto something else soon enough, won't we? So it's just the way things have gone recently. It's it's a never-ending story. But luckily, this industry in particular is robust enough to navigate the challenges that we've had recently.
Yeah, it's been never a dull moment the last 2 years, that's for sure.
Excellent stuff. And just to round things off, I mean, I'm just curious from a personal point of view. I mean, you're a chemist by trade, and you're obviously have been very technical, very hands-on in the past. I mean, do you occasionally get frustrated that you a little bit less hands-on? Speaking to a lot of certainly technical guys within the industry, as they've gone up through the ranks, they've kind of left behind the more hands-on aspect of their role. So do you miss that side of things, or has that just been a natural progression?
Yeah, well, I am a very hands-on person, and luckily, with a global segment management position, there's a lot of dimensions to my job. And so I get to work very closely with the technical associates on what coatings we're developing for the future, what the needs of the customer are. So I would say, on a daily basis, I'm able to utilize my technical background. And I would say it's a great launching place for a really lifelong career. Any kind of technical STEM foundation, you can really expand and move into so many different things: manufacturing, segment management, even sales positions. People with technical backgrounds are really able to recognize and communicate the value that the products they're selling bring to the customer. So, and I think the better we can do that, the better the whole industry will be.
And
so I certainly don't feel cheated by moving into a business side. It's just really using those skills in a slightly different way.
No, that's good to hear. It's just sometimes you do hear of those that previously are very hands-on, very technical, and then they aren't anymore. So it sounds like you have the best of both worlds, which is great to hear. And just to round things off, I think it does sound like PPG. You're certainly a company where there's a lot of long servers there, so you've got a lot of specialist knowledge. So my final sort of sound off really is how are you guys trying to navigate that, because sometimes you do have to be mindful of succession plans and ensuring that you have a diverse workforce. So is that something that PPG are mindful of, trying to bring in the next generation of coatings professionals?
Yes, absolutely. And I would say, we're no different than other companies that have experienced a big change in the workforce, as far as, there's been a fair amount of retirement through COVID, or even just job changes, right? People have shifted companies really across, and I would say especially in the US. And so we are absolutely, integrating new folks into our organization on a continual basis. And I mean, one of the roles I certainly play with 34 years of experience in coatings is training, mentoring with new associates that come in, and really working to achieve that continuity that will bring business success to PPG.
No, that's excellent to hear. So no, I think that rounds things off nicely. So no, Robyn, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us on the show, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Great. It was great meeting you, Alex. Thank you so much for the invitation.
No problem at all. Thank you.